best. I'm not a legal expert, but the common sense tells you that there is more into this than what we hear. Someone is going to accuse me, the matters are in court, you can't talk about it, but the truth be told, we all human beings, we all got weaknesses as human beings. One way or another, you become weak on something for whatever reason. So I believe in this case, that bail condition that was granted was not coincidental, was not just a mistake, was a calculated move.
Thank you, General. Chair, I think the issue relating to the project on General Khumalo and the disruptions of the reforms in crime intelligence, we can leave them for now. I'm judging from how the General is answering. We can leave them for now for that later maybe in camera meeting. General, you since the 6th of July 2025, you kept on using criminal syndicates, drug cartels, interchanging. And later when you went to testify even in the commission, you spoke about a big five. Do you perhaps feel comfortable to share who are these big five that you keep on referring to? I don't want us to use code names. If it's possible that you can share with us and the people of South Africa that who are these people? Who are these people who are part of the big five who are actually running drug cartels in the country and possibly controlling some of the institutions of government?
Honorable Chair and members, I'm not sure whether the members have the statement that should have annexed on this statement, which is a statement that I presented before the Madlanga Commission. If I were to invite the members, maybe I think it's attached NSM3, if I'm not mistaken.
Which volume, General?
I think just give me a second, Honorable Chair.
They say it's volume 3. So it's NSM what? The page.
It should be on my statement. I don't know which volume is it.
It's volume 2.
Volume 3 or 3.1.
What is the page number? Do you have it evidence?
Page number. Okay, I want to invite the members on that volume 1, NMS3, to open page 83. Page 83. So paragraph 275.
Okay, you can proceed, General.
Okay, honorable members, Chair, to answer the question of the honorable member, I think it's important to look at that sketch that we put in the statement. You are asking who are these big fives? we can only talk about the big five of those that are already arrested and they are in court. Those that have not been arrested, unfortunately, we're not in a liberty to talk about them. You will see that the big five on this graph are those that are marked with red on the picture on the left. So that whole group, the only names that we are making it visible here are the two names. And that's a name of a Vusmus Matlala, who is known as Cat, as well as Katiso Molefe. Both individuals have been to court, and I think you are privy to the court processes related to their cases. We have the other three that we did not reflect here. They are known. Their names are known. I must say, Honorable Chair members, these are tenderpreneurs. These are the people that the government has been awarding tenders to. They are quite big financially. They are part of this whole lot. We did not put their names because we did not want to implicate people before they appear before court, except the others. The place that we feel comfortable to talk about it, we name the names. And the others that we're not comfortable with, we did not put the names.
That's fine, General. That's accepted. You say there is an involvement of the judiciary in all this fracas. But in that process, you mention only one fellow magistrate, Mahlangu. Are there any other magistrates or judges? Because when you say the judiciary, we include the two. Any other magistrates or judges that are suspected to be aiding this alleged criminal syndicate? And in respect of Magistrate Mahlangu, what is her links in the entire syndicate?
Honorable members, again, I don't want to go deeper into the status of the investigation, who's who in this whole puzzle. Therefore, I'm not even talking about the names of people that are part of the criminal activities. I said when I addressed that they are presiding officers, which are members of the judiciary, that are participating in these illegal activities. And it's not one and not two. And I confine myself to this criminal investigation. That's why I made a reference to those that are in Gauteng province. So I'm not going to call them by names. The magistrate that you are talking about, although I did not call him by name, I mentioned the magistrate because he's presiding over the matter that is in court already. It's got to do with the arrest of his members and the bail condition that was granted. So it's that which I'm only highlighting, that you have a magistrate that sits and listens to what the state is asking for, and then the magistrate come up with his own rules, his own rulings, contrary to what the state is asked for, and more stringent things. Then you ask yourself a question, but why? Why do you have to go to this extent, magistrate? And these are the questions that, when things like this happen, it makes us to go deeper to try and establish exactly what then is the role of this individual in this whole investigation that you are busy with. So I have not called his name, and I have not called any presiding officer's name. And those details will be made visible by the team if they're so willing, but it cannot be done in their open meeting.
Thank you, General. I think we'll skip to the next three questions because they are related to what the General is talking about, an ongoing investigation. So as it relates into the crime syndicate, we'll just keep it, maybe we'll deal with it when time allows. Let's go back to, you say there is a prosecutor who has submitted an application for a warrant of arrest to a magistrate for it to be signed, but later called that warrant must be withdrawn because he or she does not want to lose her job. Do you mind sharing with the committee and the people of South Africa, who is this prosecutor? From whom did they get this call? Who apparently is this powerful person who might be aiding some of the wrong things within the criminal justice system? And you'll forgive me, General. I said that some of the questions I'm asking because I'm the chair of justice. So they are part of the mandate that we've been given.
Yeah, I'm going to invite Honorable Chair. There are quite a lot of information that might need to be revealed by the team that is busy with investigation that experienced that, because I received the report. I said on my statement when I started that the information I'm presenting before the ad hoc committee, it's information that I saw on my own eyes, information that I was authorized to have access to, and information that was shared to me by my colleagues as they are working. So some of the things I might not necessarily give it to you in black and white, for instance, to give you the name of the magistrate. But I'm confident that those members whom their names I can give you, that were involved, they can come before this committee, and I will request that it can be done in a closed meeting where they can tell you exactly who the magistrate are, because those are the members that are from counterintelligence. So I wouldn't want them to be then coming before cameras here and exposing themselves as coming from counterintelligence, because their lives will be in danger. But they will come and give you a sworn statement about what transpired on the day. And subsequent to that, what then was the intervention that was done with the National Director of Public Prosecution? And subsequent to that, what happened? Who are the advocates who were part of that meeting? And what was the discussion in that meeting? And how was it resolved?
Okay. On the 6th of July, in the press briefing, which is annexed here as SM3, in the NSM3 in the annexures, the statement of the 6th of July, you kept on mentioning correctional services. But as time goes, you don't go deeper as it relates to who are these officials within correctional services, and what is their link and their role in aiding the operations of the crime syndicate?
Honorable members, without, as part of the investigation, without putting people's names, I made an example of, and which is a public knowledge that you all know about. The Minister of Correctional Service, the National Commission of Correctional Service, they always conduct raids at correctional facilities. And when they do those raids, they always come up with illicit goods that are not supposed to be there. We are still trying to figure out how does Thabo Bester get out of prison and he'll end up in a foreign country. This is a typical example of how bad the system is within the correctional service. We've got a lot of examples on how crime is organized behind bars, how people get killed by people that are behind bars, that get released to go out and murder someone and come back into a correctional facility. So what we cited as an example when we made our presentation is that here is one of the big fives, Mr. Mahlala, is arrested and is detained at the maximum prison of our country, in Pretoria, Kosimapho, but is caught with a cell phone inside that facility. So that cell phone, for sure, was not dropped from the sky to get into the courtyard for him to get it. It was facilitated by someone within the correctional facility to have access to it. So we cited that one example, but we're not going to elaborate more of the other people that have had access to that correctional facility to come and see these arrested people and been assisted by the officials within. Some other items that have been given to these people that are arrested of the Big Five, facilitated by individuals within correctional facilities. So that's why I said I'm not going to go deeper into naming the names, who is doing what and who's doing what, because that is part of the criminal investigation that you're busy with. I just highlighted some of the examples in there. But as I was talking about this investigation, I was confining myself in Gauteng. But it's a problem across the country. South Africans will tell you that. Across the board, you have that problem. As the human rights allow for people that are in custody to have visiting rights, amongst others, the same human rights that allows illegal activities to happen, because then there's exchange of monies and the likes that are happening while people are supposed to be taken away from society.
Okay. Is it the evidence of the general that the attempt to de-establish the political killings system was unwarranted? Most importantly, because the executive authority did not solicit a formal briefing from the management of the police service, and also because the political killings system has made a very great impact in terms of fighting political killings of politicians, traditional leaders, and the sort.
That's exactly. The minister, who's the executive authority over the South African Police Service, comes from KwaZulu-Natal. The very same province where this problem exists, the very same province that was a cause of the formation of this team. The minister, having that experience of coming from that province, he goes against his own boss, the President of the Republic, who publicly on the 18th of May says these political killings must stop. And the minister goes out public and he says the political killings ended in 94. There's nothing like that now. So you then ask yourself a question, but what makes the executive authority to even say things against what his bosses say in public? And he has confidence to do that. On top of that, the minister has not received an advice, a briefing from the National Commissioner or the executive authority within the police. Disturbingly so, Honorable Chair and members, is that the very same act, the members of this parliament felt it is important to establish the civilian secretariat within the South African Police Service. And that civilian secretariat, I feel there's a DG there. And I feel the ministry does not make use of the DG. Because part of the responsibility of the DG, as contained in the Police Act, is to give legal advice to the minister, is to guide the minister about the do's and the don'ts. But if that DG was invited by the minister to brief him or seek advice before he signs such letters, we wouldn't be here today. The ignorance of that office of the executive secretariat of the police is part of the contribution that leads us into the wrong decision taken by the minister. It might not have been briefed by police management, but at least a DG at the civilian secretary will have briefed him, because that's the responsibility of that DG. But it looked like the minister did not take advice from all those people. I do not know whether the DG did brief him or not. Perhaps he must be invited to come here and say whether did he brief the minister before he signed the letter or not. Because the Act, Police Act, gives the DG the responsibility to advise the minister.
Generally, is it your evidence that a successful de-establishment of the political killings system and a successful removal of the 121 dockets from KwaZulu-Natal to Pretoria would have definitely resulted into an abortion of justice?
It's exactly what has happened has resulted into that. Although the dockets are back in KZN, but we are sitting with a lot of complaints already from our clients out there, because there was an obstruction that happened as a result of that decision.
General, thank you very much. No further questions, Your Worship.
Honorable Sokanyile, are you covered? Okay. you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me greet you, the honourable members, and the invitees. Good morning, General.
Sabona.
General, when you talk about the PKTT, you're saying that it was very much successful. And then the PKTT was established. But before that, the president, when he visited Mr. Mkhwanazi Mkhunu, visiting that family because Mkhwanazi Mkhunu was assassinated, then he saw that political killings have escalated. And then he formed the Inter-Ministerial Committee. Then you have the Inter-Ministerial Committee that is there formed by the President, who established the PKTT, having the Inter-Ministerial Committee and the National Commissioner. I'll tell you why after you have answered me. If you can just give me an answer. Who established that PKTT?
Is the National Commissioner.
So the PKTT was established by the National Commissioner. Then the Cabinet, it introduced the Inter-Ministerial Committee. Then, so its disbandment, it should have been done by the National Commissioner, not by the minister, because the minister had no jurisdiction. Because to me, that Inter-Ministerial Committee was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. And that ministerial committee played an oversight role to the PKTT. If it played an oversight role, then there was a directive that should come to the IMC saying that you can stop here. Don't do that after having those meetings, even though you have said that they were not meeting frequently, even though they had to meet if there was something urgent. Then can you give me, do the Inter-Ministerial Committee give directives, or was it allowed, or the directives, they were coming through the National Commissioner to the PKTT?
That is correct. The National Commission one will give directive what needs to be done.
And then in the meetings now, if the IMC is having a meeting, then it will be surely it will be the National Commissioner who will bring a report and who will go out and communicate. So in other words, it means that the Minister of SAPS, even though he was chairing the IMC, had no jurisdiction to talk to the PKTT.
That is correct. The ministers they can engage just about everyone they want to engage with. They can talk to every member. However, when they take strategic decision of this nature, it has to follow the chain of command first, and secondly, it has to be decisions that are within their delegation of authority. I must indicate, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, that the Minister of Police at the time when this IMC was functioning well, it was Gerald Cele. Gerald Cele is an ex-police commissioner. Gerald Cele, I'm sure everyone knows, is a very active person that wants to get involved with a lot of things, and most of them end up being operational. It is Gerald Cele to have expected to have done something like this because of his energy that he has in terms of policing, but he did not. He still respected the National Commission. So each time he will come to the province, and even he happens to be in KZN and he wants a briefing of something, he will not phone an investigator and say, come and tell me about what's happening somewhere. He will phone one of us, either the National Commission, myself, he will always tell me when he's in province, as well as the person who was running the project, Gerald Kumar. He was always engaging in that line. I mean, sometimes he'll come to the National Commissioner, they will have meetings, even if I'm not there. But he always engaged in that fashion, even if he does it outside the IMC. But he always followed the chain of command. So I do not know, maybe he was privileged to understand because he was a police commissioner to understand the chain of command that maybe Minister Mkhwanazi did not understand. But that's just an example of how we were operating all the time without problems. And I'm sure even if there was a time for such a disestablishment of this team during that time, perhaps Gerald Cele will have taken it through the IMC to say, we started this, it's gone this far, we don't see much of this thing happening anymore. Let's approach the president and disestablish this the responsibility that was given to us by the president, and I'm sure they will have done it in a correct channel.
Then you are having provincial commissioners under the national commissioner. Then yourself, you had to report to the national commissioner about how the PKTT was working. And even going to Gauteng, where you sent, you didn't ask any advice, any permission from the IMC. Police were sent because of the agreement from the National Commissioner and yourselves when the Provincial Commissioner of Gauteng wanted to be assisted.
That's correct. When there was a call for the members to be assisted, it only had to end with the National Commission because it was an operational thing.
Then in yourself, the role of the IMC, in your understanding or see it in practical terms now, you are having the National Commissioner responsible for the PKTT, which you are nearer to it than the IMC, its role, having the National Commissioner. I know the minister will play an oversight over the national, but having the IMC established specifically for political killings.
Yeah, well, I guess the presence of the IMC in a way took away the authority of the executive authority of the minister over the police, because then the work that the team was doing was to account to this group of ministers, with or without the Minister of Police presence. So any other minister will chair that meeting, that IMC, and we must account to that minister on what we're doing as a police. And the minister, together with his colleague, they will take that information to the president. So that is what, that's a setup that was created. So the national or the Minister of Police cannot claim to be the owner of such an operation. So the action of Minister Mkhwanazi was flawed in relation to that. It missed that part.
Because to me, if you're saying that they took the powers of the Minister of Police, but the IMC was chaired by the Minister of SAPS.
Yeah, it was chaired by the Minister of SAPS. But once it becomes an IMC, it becomes a group of ministers that those that must execute must account to all of them. Honorable Chair and members, maybe I must also indicate how we structured in the organization. There's a cluster which is called the JCPS cluster. And when we operate within that cluster, we get directives that are coming from the cluster. So once a cluster, through the Joint Operation Intelligence structure, issues a directive, you will find a letter that is signed by maybe the Commissioner of Correctional Service or the Chief of the Army that directs the police to do A to Z. And it's carrying that badge of JCPS. The police must do that. You're not going to say, no, this is not a national commission, you're not going to do it. Because we understand that it's a cluster that is given the tasking that you must execute this specific task. So when you look at part of the example as we are discussing this, the annexure on this statement, volume 2, in your folders, just to emphasize the point, perhaps it might be visible, I'm not so sure. No, it's not visible. The presentation that is sitting on this, I think it was extracted, and there's some pictures that I wanted the members to see, which are not visible on this presentation. But the presentation that we were giving all the time as we summarize the work of the team on NSM4 on page 32. That presentation is for the one for the committee. My mistake. I will find the one perhaps in some of the example of the presentation we'll give to the IMC. Every time we give the presentation to IMC, we're going to put the coat of arms, then we're going to put the national flag on top of the presentation. That is an indication that the presentation is not for the SCPS, but the presentation is for the cluster. So when you see in the cluster working arrangement, the presentation made, it does not reflect one department. It covers all the departments. You're sometimes going to find the SSA badge in the defense badge in there, and many other departments that are involved, NPA and so forth. That's what you're going to find all the time. So once you see that, then you get to know that this is not one department's project, but it's a combination. We've been doing those type of presentation all the time. And that's how we structure it. If we do the police thing alone, we put a police badge. So that gives an indication, where does this one belong? So I guess if the minister had been privy to that, had called for a presentation, we were going to give him a presentation that has got multiple badges in it. And that was going to be a signal to him that this is not SAPS thing alone, it's for the collective. So he will have gone back to his colleagues to discuss the disestablishment.
Having the IMC and the Minister of SAPS chairing that IMC, playing an oversight role to the PKTT through the National Commissioner. So you're saying that he shouldn't have given a directive to the National Commissioner to say that disestablish this PKTT. You're saying that he was not supposed to do that, even though you know that he's playing an oversight role through that IMC, his sheriff, so that he reports to the IMC.
That's correct, Honorable Chair members. I think I found what I wanted to make an example on. If you go to volume 3 of the annex on your folders, and you check Annex MK5, under NSM 3, on the volume 3, written 3.1 on the annex there, page 151. And then it starts from there and it runs to There are quite a number of pages of this presentation. I think ends at 170. So if you look at that presentation there, you'll see that there is a badge of the South African Police Service as well as the badge of the NPA. That's what I was talking about earlier. So that the moment you have a presentation that is going to have more than one badge, then you must know this doesn't belong to one entity. It's a combination. So that this is a typical example of how we present.
Then the last question that I asked, this one of the minister doing an oversight role and the interministerial committee playing an oversight role over the PKTT, then they decide, the ministers decide to disestablish the PKTT, gives that directive to the National Commissioner. Are you saying that he was not supposed to do that, even though he's playing an oversight role? I know you have said that the PKTT was the decision of the National Commissioner. Then now the minister comes in and says, no, we should stop with the PKTT, as he's playing an oversight role. He was not supposed to do that.
That is correct, honourable member, honourable chair and honourable members. I did indicate on that NSM 3 on my statement that I deposed at the commission that the PKTT was just but one of the task teams that we had in the South African Police Service. And for the minister to choose only one team and it decides that that team does not add any value in the policing in the country was questionable right at the onset. So if the minister is honest, he should come here and explain why did he choose only this one. Doing his oversight as an executive authority over the South African Police Service, was he aware of the rest of the task team that existed? And if so, how did he get to know? Did he receive any presentations about each one of them? Did he assess the budget that was used by each one of them and how they're operating each one of them? And before he makes a decision that this one must be shut down. I mentioned the number of example of some of the national teams that were working in the province, in the country at the time when the minister took this decision. This was not the only one that was operating, but I will find an example on my statement where I can make a reference to. So I still strongly believe that exercising oversight over the South African Police Service as a minister by deciding to disestablish the PKTT was not a decision informed by the performance of the team, was not a decision informed by the assessment that the minister has done over the work, was not informed by the people that allegedly informed the minister, the merit the members that shared information, was not informed by that.
So immediately after the disestablishment of the PKTT, what happened to the IMC?
The IMT stopped meeting in September 2023. It has never met to date. Perhaps, honourable chair and members, that seems to be part of the challenges which shouldn't be there, but it is there. That the executive authority of departments are appointed by the leaders, be it a premier in the province, be it the president at national level. But those are the members that are coming from political parties. And their presence in those offices are dependent on the political parties or those individuals that appointed them. Now, if it then so happens that you go through elections and there's new government that is formed and the new leadership is appointed, the one that will have occupied the position of that executive authority of a department, by the time that the parliament is dissolved, that person is sitting in limbo because he's got no authority over the department, and sit and wait like the rest of us watching television, hoping and praying that the president is going to appoint that person back into the position again. If it doesn't happen, that the person is appointed again as a minister of police, like in this case, I think the last day the minister of police will have left office is before the announcement of the president. That will be the last time the president, when the parliament is dissolved, that person is no longer in the police, will have left with his bags. And when if he doesn't come back, and a new individual comes back, and there's no handing over that is done. The outgoing does not sit with the incoming, and they sit down and they work on the program, and they get to be briefed. To some degree, we might expect that from coming from different political parties, but the hatred within the same party is that bad that the outgoing the incoming doesn't want to hear anything about the outgoing. It doesn't want to listen to him or meet with him, doesn't want to even work with the staff that comes from the top. So they basically now, some of them don't even want cars. Doesn't matter whether the car is driven 10,000 kilometers. They don't want to sit in the furniture. They don't want anything to do with the outgoing. They start their own things afresh. I think that disconnect creates problems like this. Because then the incoming executive authority, the ministers that took responsibility of the former ministers, maybe some of them are not even aware that there was such an that existed, because there was no handing over done. You'll ask different ministers of correctional service, justice, and all the others. They might tell you, we don't know anything about IMC you're talking about. Nobody told us about it. Otherwise, we would have met if we knew about it. If they did, maybe they met somewhere else, but not in an official place where we expect them to meet, where we're supposed to be part of that meeting and give them presentation. So that's where the challenge and that's where the risk is. I don't know what Parliament is going to do about that, but that's part of the problem.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, General. Let me stop there because I don't want you to go further to say that the ministers do this and that. Thank you, General.
Thank you.
Can I ascertain something with you? Are you stopping or are you saying my questions are ending here?
For now, they are ending here.
Okay.
When you give me, I'm an alternate. You know the alternate. Check.
No, it's not how we agreed. It's not how we agreed. If you have exhausted your questions, we pass.
I've exhausted as of now.
It must be very clear. Your time has not ended. Your questions have ended. Is that so?
Okay.
So we move. And this must be the understanding, honorable members. If we allocate your time and your questions get exhausted before the time that has been allocated, we don't have time storage here. Yes, that's how we must understand it. So that somebody must not come back and say, I have invested time with you, Chairperson, and can I now get my investments? I'm moving forward to the MKP. Honorable Sangwan.
Chairperson, I don't want to misunderstand you. And then we come back and we do exactly what you say we must not do. Can we at this point...
But on a point of order, Chair. She's not going to behave like that. We're not in a house here. She has to be recognized by you. You can't just take a mic and speak.
Yes, I said...
No, Chair.
I said, Honorable...
No, I didn't do that.
I lifted my hand, the chairperson recognized,
no.
I proceeded to
This
speak.
comradeship is not going to work here. There's a procedure here.
Wait, honorable members. Honorable Malema, the name of Honorable Sangweni was called by me as the chair to say Honorable Sangweni, and I respectfully request you to apologize to the female comrade.
I was going to do that, but you can't point the finger at me and say must apologize, and then you take that instruction. It doesn't work like that. You pointed the finger at me and say must apologize.
No. Let's do it out of revolutionary consciousness.
But you must apologize to me first.
The struggle that we pursue,
I withdraw. I apologize.
it's about the recognition of women and their emancipation.
Thank you, Honorable Malema. I appreciate the apology.
Wait, Honorable Sango. Yeah. Okay. I now recognize you.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, you said that we are not, you don't have a storage of time. Now, I just want to confirm that as we stop at this point as the African National Congress and are going to come back,
Yeah.
what is the time at this point? So we don't fight with you
I
about that later.
allocated you 1 hour plus 10 minutes. The 1 hour plus 10 minutes is for 2 full members of the ANC plus 1 alternate. Chief Whip.
No, Chair, I think we would like to help you, because earlier on when you were explaining the allocation of time, I even whispered to some of my colleagues that no, he's making a mistake. This is how we understand the time allocation. The ANC has got 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Each one of us, except one of my colleagues, has got 30 minutes. What has happened now, in our understanding, is that one member that qualifies for 30 minutes and one member that qualifies for 10 minutes have participated in the discussion. And what we thought you are going to then say is that on the basis of the 30-minute plus 10-minute of the ANC that were supposed to be utilized by the 2 members, this is where we currently stand in terms of the time allocated to the African National Congress. But when you say you are allocating now 3 speakers to the ANC, because when you say it's an hour and 10 minutes, you are effectively telling the ANC that out of your 4 members plus 1, 3 of them, you want them to speak now. And that is not the understanding that we hold. And that is why we want to suggest to you, Chair, that at the moment, let's accept that 30 minutes and 10 minutes of the ANC has been utilized to the extent that the minutes were used. You now proceed to other political parties, but the ANC will have to work out with you. If you don't keep a storage, we keep a storage. How much of the 40 minutes was used by the 2 members, and therefore the balance of which will be addition to the 3 other members of the ANC, including you, who are yet to come back late. Thanks.
Okay. The 4 members of the ANC in this committee include me as your chairperson. So on the ground, you have 3 full members. And when I started, I said I'm allocating you 1 hour plus 10 minutes. And I said I'm going to split your allocation in 50%. So, and I gave the same example with the MKP to say they have 1 hour plus 10 minutes. I'm going to give them 40 minutes. So they will have the last 30 minutes in the second round. And so in your case, as the ANC, you have 1 hour now plus 10 minutes in the first round, and 1 hour in the second round. So now if for instance, you don't want to use your 30 minutes now, or you are not ready, you make a request to the chair to say, look, we acknowledge that you have allocated us. We humbly request that let's keep that 30 minutes. We will come and use it. We will indicate to you so that the meeting must proceed. Is that your request? Yeah, if there has been a misunderstanding, I'm sorry for that misunderstanding, but I will reasonably accept your request to say, let's now proceed to the MKP.
Yes, Chair, please accept our humble request that we defer the remaining time to later. Thanks.
And let's make it a practice that any member who wants to make a request like that one, it is acceptable, so that it must not become unjustifiable. Okay, the MKP. Let me say this to you. It's now 10:40. Can I check? Are you going to speak, the three of you, in the 40 minutes allocated?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, you will decide how you allocate the time between yourselves, but your time is 40. Honorable Skosan,
Yes.
your time is 40
minutes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning once again to General Mkhwanazi, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. We are blessed to have you say here among us. You know, it reminds me of our president of Umkhonto weSizwe Party when he said, "Abanye bayokhala." I don't want to put it in English. Ngizoyibika nje ngesiZulu. You'll interpret if you have to. Abanye bayokhala. I want to emphasize that once again. Let me start my questions to the General. You know, I've listened vividly yesterday here. Explosive stuff about what is happening in this country. I'm going to ask the General 4 questions, not 2. You know, I think it would be much easier for me to be able to complete as quickly as I can. 1, were you informed by senior police that the president is not happy about the task team drama and wanted clarity? I'm not sure whether that would be from you or from the National Commissioner. Perhaps the General can give us a clarity on that. I just want to find out about the presence of an elected person like Brian Mkhwanazi in a secret service meeting. What is your take on that, General? Number 3, if you remember well, I know this is a national issue of Senzo Meyiwa, that one of your colleagues, you know, perhaps it will be proper as well if he's here, one perhaps can pose that question. One accused in that Senzo Meyiwa case was charged and sentenced and given bail committed for murder. Who's magistrate and which law did they apply to give such a criminal a bail? As I said earlier, a disclaimer, perhaps that question would be good as well for the NPA to respond on these matters. Why was General Sibia promoted to a senior position, even though there was a complaint that he procured a device that hacked phones for private purpose?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and honorable members. The last question, I think, is better be directed to the National Commissioner as well as the former Minister clearly, who I think were involved in the appointment of a person